welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Force podcast, the podcast from Puerto Rican friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd related media. This is season 6, episode 6, and today we're going to be talking all things Andor in anticipation for season 2 coming out April 22nd that we are super excited about. We got a trailer, we got a first look a few days ago, so much to talk about. So yeah, oh my god, exciting stuff happening.
It's so much. It's so much. And first, I want to take like a minute before we get going into the Andor stuff to kind of give a shout
Yeah.
out to the Triad of the Force Discord. It's been like an effort that has kind of started in earnest starting in January. So not too long, almost kind of 3 months. But it's slow and hard to build communities like the ones that we're starting to build, but
Yeah.
it has been fruitful so far, and like there's been a lot of activity and communication, and I think a lot of conversations have been happening there. So I just want to give a shout out to everyone that has joined it for participating. And yeah, if you want to join our community, especially in these hypercharged days where we have to find comfort amongst each other, feel free and feel welcome to join the Trial of the Force Discord. Even though I just read an article late last week that there's an IPO going for Discord, and it might, a safe place like it might become polluted by corporate interests once again.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can protect that for a time being, and because I kind of don't want to look to do an exodus of another platform.
Again? Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
too many, too fast,
Yeah.
and too fast, too furious, so to speak. But anyway, how are you feeling, Nani? Like it's all of a sudden 2025. We're in
Yeah.
another Trump presidency. Everything's on fire,
Yep.
and we have
And
another
it's
season of
already
Andor,
March, which
and
is
it's
kind of
already March,
insane.
and it's only
Yeah.
March. Actually, I think I would say only March
Well,
because holy
honestly,
crap.
because it's a little conflicting because sometimes you look at the calendar and you think we're still have like more time, like we're still earlier in the year, but it's still March. But then kind of the day to day, I feel like they're just super long.
Oh
And
yeah.
by the time you get to a Thursday, it's like it's Friday, right? It's like no, no. I mean, sometimes even by Monday, I'm just like, wait, it's a whole nother week. I don't get another weekend
Yeah.
day. So I think it's been conflicting because I mean, there's
Hmm.
so much stress with a lot of us not knowing, if we're gonna keep our jobs,
Hmm.
if our
Hmm.
rights are gonna be
Hmm.
taken away. I mean, like all these things that are happening that we don't necessarily have any control over at this point.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's been crazy, but I mean now with the Andor season 2 coming out and all of the analogies that we can drag, in for comparing, our current political situation to what was happening in a galaxy far, far away at the time
Hmm.
when Andor was happening. I think there's going to be a lot of discourse that's going to be really positive to have. And, for people to realize that, yeah, we can have political discussions within the context of Star Wars because
Hmm.
that is
Hmm.
exactly what Andor does and what they're kind of, from that first look, they kind of want us to have,
Yeah.
those political discussions because that's what the show wants to do. Entertainment doesn't necessarily have to be entertainment for entertainment's sake. Sometimes it can be, but
Hmm.
sometimes it can
Hmm.
also be thought provoking and argument provoking. So I think there's a lot of things that's going to be happening in the next few months. How do you feel about it?
I mean, it depends on
Mhm.
the day, and I will say that
Mhm.
with each passing day, it's not that the horror subside from my consciousness and subconsciousness, but somehow like I feel comfort with every day that passes because I see that there's people that coalesce and we were saying before, like create community and create movements and
Yeah.
are speaking up and are standing up, and it feel like Leia said, right? Like there's hope, and it feels
Yeah.
like there is answer to the despair, like there's answer to people asking for help, and I think that we always
A
have to
light at the
focus.
end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I mean we have
Yeah.
to focus on that, right? It can't
Yeah.
all just be
Hmm.
doom and gloom and
The doom
everything's
and gloom.
terrible. We
Hmm.
have to focus on the little victories and the good
Yeah.
things that are happening and the momentum that some things are having. And I'm not saying that that the next 3 years are going to be a cakewalk, But I somehow do feel a little hopeful that like that we're gonna be able to win eventually because you know I honestly do feel that the pendulum and the momentum of justice always swings in the right direction, and we're in a massive hiccup right now. But if there's something that history has shown us is that we get through it, but we don't get through it through complacency. We get through it through action,
Yeah.
through speaking up, and through movements. And I think that's why media is as poignant as it is because it gives us the outlet to not
Yeah.
just uh, disconnect and see and entertain ourselves through media, but also be able to see the stories of the lives we're currently living being represented and kind of having that spark, right? That spark that'll light the fire that will burn the first order down, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's where we are, and I feel it's very interesting that we're kind of back where we were in 2022 and we were still reckoning, and I'm using that word very
Mm,
intentionally,
of course.
reckoning with a Trump 45 presidency and had Andor to lead the way into becoming a rebel and finding purpose in a rebellion.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
now with Trump 47, we're
Hmm.
Andor season 2, and now from what we've
Hmm.
seen in the special look and the trailer is accepting, right, that now you're in the rebellion, accepting the fight and choosing to engage in that fight that will eventually
Yeah.
bring in toppling down the empire. So
Yeah.
it's relevant. I think I'm kind
Yeah.
of glad that actually Andor got delayed because I don't
Now
think it
it's
would
even
have.
more poignant before.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
Yeah.
have hit as hard
Than before. Yeah. Now
last
it's
year or the
definitely
year
hitting.
before.
Yeah. This year it's
But
gonna hit really hard. Yeah.
it's good. It's good because one of the things that I haven't I mean, it's also kind of like a comforting show in many ways, and I want to hear your thoughts about this, especially looking at the badge that you have hanging behind you, because for me and hopefully for you, Andor season 1 was not just like a really good show that we want to
Yeah.
see the continuation of, but it was kind of like a important moment for me and
Us as a
for us in the
triad.
podcast
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
that's when we were very lucky to have participated in a bunch of roundtables with Bo
Yeah.
Willimon and Diego Luna, Genevieve O'Reilly, Luke Hall, and so on and so forth, and be able to
Go to the
participate
premiere. Hmm.
of that premiere and kind of see the power that a show like this can have to ignite right
Yeah.
fandom and create discourse and conversations like the ones that we had then.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to be back there, kind of like be back where we were and hopefully engage in some of those thought-provoking conversations again. So like how does it feel for you like to come back all of a sudden and be an Andor in the advent of Andor season
And our
2?
season two. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really exciting. I really do feel like we became legit, with our coverage of Andor
Yeah,
season one.
somewhat, yeah.
Even though I still consider ourselves super amateurs and super minor, we became
Yep,
somewhat
yep,
legit,
yep,
with
yep.
the coverage that we were able to be a part of in season one. I got to like take a picture with Diego Luna,
Hell yeah.
and
Quite the infamous moment, I might add.
yeah, I know that was a great moment. I haven't been able to go to Celebration in years now because I was in law school and all these things. So it was the first time that I really got to meet a lot of these members of our community within
Mhm,
the
mhm, mhm.
podcast world that we had made since we started the podcast. That we'd
Yeah.
only ever communicated, like this digitally. So it was really fun to meet these people face to face and find out how like honestly amazing all these people are.
Yeah.
And so I was always excited about season two, obviously, because we got season one is just like kind of setting it up, which Genevieve O'Reilly said it so well in that first look. It's like if this one laid the path, season two is going to be the
Mhm,
juggernaut.
mhm.
And I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah.
goosebumps. Yes, please. And we know that it's going to be way more faster paced because it's 12 episodes covering all the way up to Rogue One. Um, but it was so masterfully set up that they decided to just do like 1 year in season one. So you get all that
Mhm.
conflicting, like, should I be a part of this? Should I not? How does the rebellion kind of like get started in the background? And this one already seems like it's going to be way more action packed. I'm sure there's going to be fantastic monologues anyway.
Yeah.
So
Especially, I'm looking forward to one, and we'll get to that. I mean, not that
Okay.
it's confirmed, but I think we're gonna get one person from
One.
season one did not get a monologue, and I think they're gonna get it in this one, which I'm very very excited for. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that person's gonna get a Golden Globe nomination, but we'll get to it. Yeah.
Okay. So like you were saying, I think it's extra exciting now that it's coming out amidst the political craziness that's happening
Hmm.
right now because it kind of gives us one like a show to kind of like vent our frustrations through talking
Hmm.
about
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
and it's just an outlet that I think we kind of really need right now, especially us Star Wars fans who haven't been getting a lot of things since Skeleton Crew, which was fantastic,
Hmm.
but there's not a lot of space to just kind of vent about our society as it is currently.
For
um,
better though, I do think that was
yeah.
like a good thing.
Mhm.
Like we needed something
No, it was a good thing. We
to
needed a
be
happy
distracted.
show. Yeah, we needed that happy show. I'm not harping on Skeleton Crew. I was actually a huge fan of Skeleton Crew, and I have said it multiple times. Um, but I think, and this, I mean, we're going against what it says in the first look, right? When Diego Luna's like, "This is the end. I have no expectations,"
Hmm.
But we're Star Wars fans. You can't really ask
You
that of
can't.
us.
Yeah,
We're
you can't.
always gonna have expectations, but we here at Triad pride ourselves on trying to be respectful, and responsible about
Responsible.
our
Exactly.
responsible about speculation.
And not be
You know,
bitter when our theories don't
when things don't
pan
go
through.
our
Yeah.
way. Again, I don't want to set my expectations too high, but season one exceeded my expectations,
Yeah.
so
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I'm kind of hoping for this one to exceed my expectations as well. And I mean, just from that first look, it doesn't really give anything away, but it looks even more amazing, like set wise,
Yeah.
than
Hmm.
season one. The costume design looks crazy.
Hmm.
I mean, I think it's Diego Luna who also says that, everybody does their homework and it shows. And clearly you could see that season one. I think season two is going to be even better at it because they
Hmm.
already have that track record of being able to pull off more. So I don't know. I'm just honestly really excited to see what's happening, to be able to do our review episodes
Hmm.
and to go back to that place where I felt like we really connected with the audience for season one, and
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
expect and hope for us to keep growing the community and be able to connect even more through discussions about season two of Andor. So yeah.
And I wanted to talk to you about that because we weren't able
Hmm.
to connect when the first trailer dropped. So I didn't
Hmm.
get your reaction about us,
Yeah.
what was revealed about the release that the show is gonna have, which kind of took me by surprise because season one, as we all know and remember now, like for the most part, had a weekly release. I think there were maybe like
Yeah.
two or three double episodes, but for the most part, it was one episode per week.
Yeah.
Um, Season two, however, plot twist, is not going to follow that format. And there was an interview that came out with Tony Gilroy today that, based on how he said it, it seemed like it was one of those Disney corporate decisions. But whatever,
Oh.
that's
Hmm.
neither here nor there. But the
Yeah.
point is that the show's gonna release in like three episodes. Like they're gonna release each arc every week,
Three
so
episodes. Yeah.
we're only gonna get 4 weeks of Andor, which
Yeah.
not necessarily a bad thing, but
Yeah.
surprising considering how it was previously and how much we've enjoyed, I think,
Yeah.
uh, the weekly single release schedules because
Yeah.
one, I mean, let's be frank, gives us more episodes to release, but
Yeah.
also kind of gives us more time to digest and more
Yeah.
opening to theorize and speculate and analyze, but also many more opportunities to talk with many more people
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
all these episodes. And now they're not even having it; they're basically like cutting it by a third, or third or fourth. I don't know what the mental math is. Pardon me. But how does that make you feel? Do you feel that this is a good move, or do you prefer if it happened like the weekly thing as last season?
Yeah. So I was checking and I'm pretty sure the release was the first two episodes. We got to see the third episode because we went to the
Mhm,
premiere.
mhm, mhm. correct.
But after that, it seems like they were just released on a weekly basis. I don't think there was another double episodes from what I'm seeing online. I could be completely wrong, and you are all free to correct me out there.
In the comments, engage. Give us that engagement boost.
Yeah. So as you were saying, I used to be the kind of person that liked binge watching stuff, like wait till it's over and then watch it in one sitting. But I think that takes a lot away from the viewing experience
Mhm,
because
mhm.
as you were saying, you don't really have time to like internalize every episode. You just go from one to the other. And sometimes by the time you get to the end, you forget how it started
Right,
and
right,
how
right.
you progress the whole way through. It's like only some key moments kind of stick in your mind. And then you get to the last episode and you're like, wait, how did we get here? What happened? Because you didn't have the chance to really, you know, dig into it and kind of, like you said, digest. I'm sorry to use the same word, but it's true because you kind of get to, internalize it and think about how it makes you feel and where you think it's going and all these things. And then you don't have a bunch of times to do responsible speculations like we love to do because we're
Mhm.
mostly wrong. So it's really fun to like go back every time and be like, yep, we guessed that wrong, guessed that wrong, guessed that wrong. Also, it's actually going to be way harder to podcast it for the ones that have also, regular jobs
Yeah,
on
yeah,
top of the
yeah, yeah,
podcast
yeah, yeah.
because now we have to watch 3 episodes to be able to do one episode on commentary, which is
Which is funny.
it's
It's funny you
it's
say that. You're funny you say that because let me search for the direct
Mhm,
quote. But
mhm.
Tony Gilroy in that interview I was mentioning from today,
Yeah.
he did make a comment about like, oh well, I'm sorry for all the podcasters that are gonna have to do
Yeah.
extra. Let me see if I can find it. But he did literally make an allusion to that. Where he's
No.
like,
That
oh,
is
I'm
hilarious.
sorry to all the podcasters that are gonna have to do extra work. Which everyone was kind of like rightfully being like, yeah, here we go. Here's a direct quote in today's
Okay.
interview. In today's interview on Collider, he says, Tony Gilroy says, and I quote, "They have their reasons. It's kind of cool. I mean, it puts a burden on podcasters. What are they gonna do? It's a movie a week, you know." So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
Tony, yeah,
It's a
actually,
movie a week.
but at
And
least,
then you have to uh-huh.
like the way we formatted like our episodes, we kind
Yeah.
of have time because
Yeah.
we don't immediately go in
Do
and
the
record and
release.
do
Yeah, we
the
don't do
like
reaction videos
we
per
watch
se. We do like
first
an
and then
actual
the next week
interpretation.
and then next not
Yeah.
next week, the next day. So
Mhm.
hopefully for us it's not gonna be too much worse.
I mean, the problem also is it's a lot to unpack
Yeah,
because
yeah,
every
yeah.
episode in Andor is super important to the story and there's so much going on in every one. So I think it'll be a disservice a little bit for each episode of ours to have to, discuss 3 episodes in one and try to like give justice to every one of those episodes.
Mhm.
So I mean, we're definitely going to end up then doing like a recap of the whole season where we try to maybe highlight some of our favorite parts of some of the episodes. So I think it is going to be harder on us. Um but that's a super selfish thing to say. So,
Exactly. It's just like we're complaining about
yeah.
getting like
Yeah.
a Star Wars movie
Yeah.
every week,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
So
is
that's a
amazing
super
to think
selfish
about.
so it's a super selfish thing to say, especially if the viewers are literally getting a movie
Yeah,
per
yeah,
week, which
yeah,
is super
yeah.
exciting. And especially if they're divided in a way that it makes sense and it's like
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
self-contained arcs that still, flow with the rest of the season as a whole, it could actually end up being a really cool way to release it. So I
Mhm.
guess I mean we're not going to be able to judge it till we actually see it aside from our own selfish
Right,
expectations.
right, right.
Um so who knows? Maybe it ends up being a super genius move and I guess we'll talk about it again after the whole season's through and we have opinions about it in hindsight because going forward we have no idea
Yeah.
if it's going to work or not. We've seen weirder release schedules in other shows and stuff, so it's not something that we can really judge right
I mean,
now
maybe the show will suck, and we'll be glad after 4 weeks to be like, "Oh, well, I'm
that
glad
it's
that's done
over.
with." Yeah, like,
Dude, don't jinx us that way. I'm really looking
they
forward to the
didn't
show. Don't say it's going to be horrible.
what a sophomore slump. Yeah, like that was bad. No, no,
We
no.
peaked freshman year.
Yeah, no, no, no.
Let's not
I
hope for that
jest.
ever.
Let's
No,
not hope
no.
for that. Obviously, we
Mhm.
always want Star Wars to succeed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's one of yeah. Like I'm sure that it'll be good. It's not that it's necessarily bad that they're doing it this way because if they are doing the release per arc,
Mhm.
obviously it'll be like you said, like a self-contained.
Hmm.
narrative, and it'll make sense, right, in terms of what we're getting. It's just that I just want to spend more time with it. I want to have
I
more
know.
Star Wars. It's
We've
because
been
if you
looking
think about
forward
it,
to Andor for like almost 3 years at this
right.
point, and then we get like a month of it, right?
And even though there's more episodes, we're gonna get less time with Andor than we do with Mandalorian or any of the
Yeah,
other eight
because
episode
it's
seasons of some of the any of the other shows. So
yeah. I mean, because we
it's a
get
bummer.
it premieres April 22nd and it's done May 13th, so we get less than a month.
Let's see
Yeah.
something, because right
Hmm.
now, and I was gonna ask you before we started talking about Andor, and right now, Daredevil: Born Again, the quasi sequel to the Netflix
Yeah.
Daredevil show, is out, and now I kind of want to. Now I'm looking how many episodes it has.
There's only two out. Yeah.
There's only two out, and
Hmm.
it's gonna be 9 episodes. So there, March 20. Oh, but they're doing some double releases. I was just wondering if there was gonna be if we were gonna have
Overlap.
Daredevil farther away from Andor season 2, but it looks like no, it looks like Daredevil's gonna wrap up before Andor season 2. And one of the theories I heard circling online about one of the reasons that they're doing this is that there's a deadline for when shows are able to qualify for that
Or
year's
award
Golden
seasons.
Award season nominations,
Okay.
and they're one of the
And
theories
since
that I
Andor
read.
was already released later than usual, they
Exactly,
wanted it all the episodes to be considered as a whole.
exactly.
Okay, that would logistically, if that's what they were aiming for, make sense. But at the same time, I do not believe in the awards anymore. So,
No, especially
I
since Andor season 1 didn't even get a
don't know.
nominations for
Hmm.
Stellan
Hmm.
Skarsgård or Fiona Shaw or Andy Serkis for any of their, for
Yeah,
they didn't get a nomination for any that was
yeah,
absolutely criminal. So, it's not that I love award shows, because especially, we know that they're bought and sold,
rigged.
basically. But there's still a prestige, right, to these awards, and they still mean something, damn it, even though we know that they're not what they used to be, at least in my estimation. But whatever, it's what it
Well,
is.
yeah, I
and
mean, or
and,
it
and
could be what
Andor
they did with like,
doesn't need it. It's great without it.
no, they don't need it. But then again, they could be doing what they did with Lord of the Rings, that it didn't win any awards till Return of the King, and then it won like all the
All of
awards.
them, yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
the exception to a fantasy slash blockbuster film that was able to break through the glass ceiling of the
yeah, and
Oscars
the
and
third
get.
one is the one that, and then it got
Yeah,
a bunch of awards. So you never know. But I don't think the success or the quality of a show depends on what awards it
no,
gets.
absolutely
But
not.
that's obviously my opinion.
But it
But
helps. It helps a
yeah,
little bit.
it
Helps a
helps.
little
It
bit.
helps.
It's one of those things where it's just like, oh, the show about the billionaires, I'm talking about Succession, gets like all the awards, and then the show that's about like revolution, standing up to like fascism, imperialism, and corporate interest. That's the show that doesn't win. I'm just like, okay, I see where the priorities are. But anyway, I digress. Have you been watching Daredevil by any chance?
I haven't actually.
Well,
I was.
that's for the future. Then for the future.
That's a for the future. Have you been watching it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is it good so far?
I think so.
You think so?
I'm in
Yeah,
it.
I have been looking forward to it, but now that I have like an actual adult job, I am struggling with getting all my TV, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Like at this point, I know that I'm not ever gonna catch up with half the things I want to watch. So I'm just like,
I know.
I guess I'm milking this Disney Plus subscription.
Yeah.
Um, but
Because I
yeah,
really want to get started into like season 2 of Severance, which I haven't gotten a chance
I haven't
to.
even
And
seen season one.
oh my god, it's so good. Don't do that to
I
yourself.
know,
Watch
I
season
know.
1.
I told you that I got the new
Yeah.
laptop. I have
Mhm.
like 3 month free trial to Apple TV,
Yeah.
so I activated it so that I can watch Succession. But like you said, like I'm tired after work, and when
Yeah,
I
I
get
know.
home, I'm just like I don't want to
That's
think. I
it's
just want
Severance because Succession's on HBO, and I'm
entertainment.
pretty sure you've seen it.
I haven't seen Succession. No,
You what?
no. The only HBO things that like I have kept up with is just House of the Dragon. That's
Oh
basically it.
wow. Well,
But anyway,
have to watch Succession. Whose composer
is
is
Nicholas
also
Britell,
the compose, yeah,
whom we
Andor
had the privilege of
of
being able to
interviewing.
participate in a roundtable with. So
Yep.
if you're preparing, you who are listening slash watching, if you are preparing for Andor season 2 and want to revisit Andor season 1, make sure to check out our past coverage of it
Mhm.
and check out all of our roundtable interviews in which we were able to not only talk with some of the creators of the show, but also share in with a lot of other really, really cool Star Wars content creators. So make sure to check that out. Um, but back to Andor season
Season
2
2.
trailers. What did
Mhm.
you think of? Because I talked about it with Scotty like in
Mhm.
our last episode when it was a surprise release. But
Yeah.
obviously we need to check in together as a triad. What did you think of that trailer? Because now that we have the special look, which is a completely different flavor from what
Yeah.
the flavor that we got on the first trailer was, what was your reaction to it? Especially because it was a little different to the Andor experience that we've gotten thus far.
Yeah. I mean, so I thought it was really good. I mean, I feel that it was maybe unnecessary for them to have to quote all the positive critique that came from season 1. It seemed
I've
a
heard
little
I've heard about a
superfluous,
lot about that. Yeah.
you know? It was just like, I mean, these shows don't usually add these to the trailers. I For a second I thought it was one of the, fake ones, and I was like, no, this is
Mhm,
on the
mhm,
official Star
mhm,
Wars
mhm,
channel, so this is the actual teaser. Um it's a double-edged sword. I think it's a little superfluous, but maybe for people that didn't watch the first one because they didn't know what it was about, it's cool that they're showing like this is massively critically acclaimed. You can watch this without necessarily being a fan of Star Wars because it
mhm,
stands
mhm,
on its own. I'm always excited to have new people come into the community of Star Wars. It doesn't matter your starting point. If you start out with Andor season 2, you see that teaser and you get excited about it, it makes you watch Andor season 1.
mhm.
I'm
Or
completely okay
Rebels,
with
yeah.
that. Or Rebels or Rogue One or
Mhm.
anything else that you haven't watched. Um Apparently my mom went to visit my brother recently, and she had never watched like the sequel trilogy or Rogue One, and
That's
apparently,
strange from
yeah,
your mother.
she,
Mother's pretty
I know,
connected. She's on the
yeah,
pulse usually.
yeah. We
Huh.
went to watch Revenge of the Sith after my college graduation
Mhm, mhm,
together,
mhm.
So, but I guess in recent
Hey,
years, not so much.
it happens. It happens.
It
Sometimes
happens, and then
life happens. Yeah.
apparently was like, oh my god, Rogue One, amazing. It's like, yes, we know Rogue One's amazing.
It's like,
I
don't you know
mean,
we have the podcast? Woman, come on.
watch it. Um, So, and we've talked multiple times about Rogue One like being one of our favorites, like of all of the Star Wars films that
Mhm,
have come out. Rogue One is solid. Um, but yeah, I mean, I love that you can bring in new people into Star Wars through this. So that's really cool. But also, yeah, the trailer made it look like way more action packed than season 1, as I
mhm, mhm,
mentioned
mhm,
already. But still, I mean, the Mont Mothma like scene of like the dancing and all the
mhm, mhm,
colorful
mhm, mhm,
costumes and everything looked amazing, because it's like we're in this super critical point of the rebellion, and I love that it doesn't look all grim. I mean, you're
mhm,
like exchanging scenes of joy and happiness that are happening still within with whatever is happening. uh, I loved the line, Andor's line that's like, "Do you want to fight or do you want to win?"
mhm, mhm, mhm,
Which I was like, "Yes." Like now we are all in. Um, and just like you get introduced to the cast of characters that we've already fallen in love with. We get Saw Gerrera back. Uh, we get Lucian, we already fell in love with season 1. Mon Mothma seems like she might have even more screen time this time, so
I
I'm
hope
really
so.
excited
Yeah.
about that. To see the transition of Andor from just like thief to now like the outfits that it looks like he's going to be wearing around, so it makes it easier for him to like come into their space.
Yeah, yeah,
uh
exactly.
which I
Hmm.
know it's one of the things we really liked about season one, that's like they're so oblivious that we can just walk in because they're so fat and satisfied that they don't notice
Yep.
like what is going on under their noses. And now he's like all polished and all these things. And I love the transition that they're trying to do for his character, because it was like just spy that is completely uninvolved in everything that happens to kind of behind the scenes participator against my will, kind of.
Hmm.
And now to soldier, to leader, to being fully involved, to being, the one in Rogue One, one of the ones in Rogue One that actually makes the mission succeed and dies in the process. I
Hmm.
mean, it's so good. So, what did you think about the trailer?
It definitely caught me off guard, and
Hmm.
the first thing
Hmm.
that I thought about when, it happened, once again, I've forgotten the name of the song and the artist, but when we have, like, the real world rock song or pop song, whatever we're calling it, or I just, like,
Yeah.
immediately thought Skeleton Crew. I'm just like, "Oh, they're doing the Skeleton Crew thing." They're just putting, like, and they're gonna and it's but I thought it was the song's gonna be as in Skeleton Crew was gonna be like in a Star Wars language, but then all of a sudden the song is in English, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that's a little
Hmm.
jarring.
Right.
But the more you think about it, I mean, one, obviously the song thematically made sense for how they for the themes of the show and the themes of the trailer, and like you were saying, obviously this trailer wasn't made for the Andor fans. It wasn't made for
Yeah.
Star Wars fans. It was made for
A
everybody.
new audience. Yeah. Hmm.
And I mean, and I'm not, and it's not to say that like we couldn't like
Hmm.
it, because I
Hmm.
definitely liked the trailer, but we
Hmm.
weren't the target audience because I think
Hmm.
Disney slash Lucasfilm knows that we're in, you know,
Yeah.
they know we're gonna watch it. They know we're
Yeah.
invested, and does I mean the trailer could have been 5 seconds of just Andor standing. I would have been like, okay, we're in with
We're
ominous
in.
music,
Yep.
but they need or slash want a bigger audience and more people
Yeah.
to engage with it and more people to be turned on into Star Wars because Star Wars can't just survive on the, same 10
Yeah.
people that have liked Star Wars since the 70s. Like we need to expand and like grow, and that's normal and natural, and I think that the only way you can do that is to appeal to more people. So
Yeah.
I think it completely made sense to just make a trailer that appeals to more people, and if you make a show that seems like it's a lot of fun, then more people are going to
Mhm.
engage with it. It's kind of a bait and switch in many ways because I think some people who might not have seen Andor season one or know anything about it might see this trailer and be like, "Oh,
Ooh, that looks interesting.
that seems
Yeah.
like a fun action
Mhm.
adventure set in space." And then they'll see the show and be like, "Oh crap, this is not fun." Well, I mean, it's fun, but not in
It's
a I'm
yeah.
having fun kind of way.
Yeah.
So I was vibing, and I also appreciated, that they didn't show too much.
Yeah.
They showed an appropriate amount. It's like here's, I mean, because in that first trailer we didn't even see Luthen or Brasso or we didn't see or B2 Emo. We didn't see everybody. So I
Yeah.
think it was very good. It was very restrained. It's just like here's just clips of
Yeah.
action, have some fun, and the critics love it. You know, uh, I personally was more intrigued by the special look, which was kind
Yeah.
of
Mhm.
trailer, kind of behind the scenes, that hybrid. And like we were mentioning before, it came out also a surprise last week
Yeah.
after Daredevil premiered. They dropped the Andor season 2 special look on Disney Plus, and obviously then they made it available to everybody on the YouTubes. So
Mhm.
I kind of like that one more because we got
Yeah.
to see a lot more characters. We got to see a lot more dialogue. We got to see expanded scenes from the trailer. We got to see the man himself, Tony Gilroy, talk
Yeah.
about what the show is about,
Who
and
we also got a picture with, by the way.
who we also get a picture with. You know, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, but that one really did it for me a lot more, as if
Yeah.
I needed more.
Yeah.
But what did you think of the
But it's
special look?
also nice to get more.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you get selfish once they
Yeah.
start giving you
Yeah. I
the
mean,
things you
throughout
want.
this episode, I've already talked about some of the quotes that I love from, are amazing actors. Um, I mean, there was also, and I hadn't mentioned it again because I realized that I was focusing way more on the first look than on the trailer, the teaser trailer. But I do love also when we bring back like Adria Arjona and
Mhm,
they show
mhm.
that scene, like that they tease that scene of like actual romance between
Yeah,
her
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Andor, and it's like her saying that it's just the show is incredibly human and incredibly truthful. It just happens to be set in a galaxy far, far away,
She
which I
probably
think
stole
is
that
what
quote from us from last season.
did we say
Probably.
that? And
I need to go through the
yeah.
entire transcripts of all of our episodes, but I
Mhm.
think she did. I think she stole it from us.
Yeah, because nobody else said that about season 1 of Andor.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, we were the only ones to say that,
I think
of
so. I
course.
think so.
Aha. Sí, seguro. Um, but it is one of the things that we would harp on all the time about how Andor season 1 was so impactful because it is set in a galaxy far, far away, but it's because of the human stories that it was so powerful. And I love that they haven't lost sight of that, and that it seems
Mhm,
that season 2 is going to be completely that. I mean, because the plan for season 2 was there from the beginning.
mhm.
So just because, time has passed and there's been reaction to season 1 doesn't mean that it's going to be different because of that attention. I mean, I think it's going to be really true to Tony Gilroy's vision when he signed up to do like both seasons. So that first look, I mean, and the fact that again they don't show a lot. I
Mhm.
mean, they add a little bit more of like where we are in the timeline. This is it. This is the end. We're 12 episodes from where we left off to the beginning of Rogue One, and then we know how Rogue One ends. So I think it's actually a lot of pressure to do all of that in
Yeah.
12 episodes, but I think they are up to the challenge because they have been immersed in this for years. So, and then you get a little bit more of like Genevieve O'Reilly
Mhm.
talking as well, and you just get the sense that even from this few scenes that we've seen that the stage is much grander than it was even in Andor season 1, which I think had amazing sets and costumes and everything. So season 2 just looks like, you know, just more more Andor, which I'm completely okay with.
Yeah, like that. I think that's one of the and you were mentioning it, and like I've been wanting to talk about it a lot. Is and it's Genevieve O'Reilly's Mon Mothma, with which obviously we saw a lot of in season one, but this one, it's
So do you think she's getting the speech?
I think there we go.
Mhm.
You got straight to the
Mon
pudding.
Mothma speech.
She's getting her speech, and I'm not sure if it's gonna be because okay, one of the things that the special look revealed, it's something that has been theorized since season one, and it's about the Gorman massacre, and something that
Ah,
was
right.
mentioned in Rebels. That's the thing that made Mon Mothma finally, leave the Empire and set to, say her piece to stand up to Palpatine and have to escape Coruscant.
Peace.
And
Mhm,
she mentioned it obviously in season one of Andor. So the special look kind of confirmed that we're going to see the Gorman
mhm.
massacre, and Tony Gilroy confirmed it doubly in the interview that came out today on Collider. So it's one of those things that's going to be interesting because that's one of the main things that makes Mon Mothma the character that we see in Return of the Jedi and Rogue One.
Mhm,
Not just a politician in the Imperial Senate who's trying to,
mhm.
fix things, but actually be
An
a
actual
rebel
revolutionary.
leader.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to in Genevieve's performances, because in season one, we obviously got to see her feel like the walls are closing in on her and having to
Right.
like I mean the whole season ends with her uh, compromising her apparently compromising her morals with
Yeah.
the mobster from Chandrilla to marry off her daughter so she can get the
Yeah.
funds to be able to do everything that she's doing for the alliance. And now in season two we get to see how that furthers, right? So, and she
Yeah.
says it right in the special look that we see how she's like her str- now the direct quote, this is me paraphrasing, her stress levels are gonna be through the roof on this one. So it's one of those things where it's just see her break, right, and see her finally be fed up and see how she responds to one, because that dancing scene, I don't think she's dancing out of fun. I think she's dancing
I know.
to kind of, she's kind of like, "Ah, I have to pretend that I'm
Releasing all
having
the
fun,"
yeah.
and that might be at her daughter's wedding or engagement party or whatever. So
Yeah.
kind of see how that progression occurs as Krennic is breathing down her neck, because we know Krennic
Right.
is going to be in her circle until she finally, the Gorman massacre occurs and
Mhm.
she decides that it's time to call,
The
call the
moose.
cards
Mhm.
as they have been dealt to her, and hopefully Genevieve
Well,
gets to join the pantheon of great speeches.
and we
And
do hear that at the very beginning, her communication, the emergency communication to
Mhm.
anybody out there that's listening. So, I mean, it would be really cool if they did like part of it like through that scratchy sound through the radio or her and then
Mhm.
her actually recording it with like the full of this is it. This is the moment where the rebellion
Yeah.
actually begins,
I mean,
you know?
it would be dope. She has two speeches, right? She has the one at the Imperial Senate, and then when that
Yeah, because
happens, she has to run away because, like, oh shit, they're gonna
yep.
arrest her. And
Hmm.
Cassian's the one that breaks her out, and she's like rescues her to get her off of Coruscant. But
Yeah.
then the actual rebellion speech, which I'm not sure in the timeline. I'm
Hmm.
not Alex Damon. I'm not Star Wars Explain. Apologies, everybody. I'm not sure in the timeline where the Gorman massacre and everything that's gonna occur, like
Yeah.
in Andor season 2 lines up with Rebels. But I do know that in Rebels she does a speech in
Yeah.
Rebels, and Genevieve O'Reilly does reprise her role as Mon Mothma in the animated show. But I'm not sure if we're gonna see that play out in live
Yeah.
action too. And see that hologram that from
Yeah.
her broadcast on the Ghost occur in
Yeah.
Andor season 2 in some capacity. But I definitely want Genevieve O'Reilly to just let loose. She was amazing in season 1, but I am ready to see her go balls to the wall in
Yeah.
season
And
two.
especially after she was cut from, the delegation of 2000
Mhm,
scenes that we talked about on the podcast about, because it's, you know, she has massive acting chops and she does so well as Mon Mothma. And we really got to see some of it in Andor season one.
mhm,
So I would
mhm.
like to see her shine even more in Andor season two. And by the way, whoever does her costume designs, Mon Mothma is always like
Well,
incredibly
I can tell
amazing.
you who that is because we
Oh,
participated in the roundtable with them, and it's Michael
es
Wilkinson,
verdad, es
costume
verdad.
designer for
You're right.
season 1,
Mhm.
returns for season 2. And if you want to get some insights, you who are listening to us or watching, into some of the costume design for season 1 that might lead into what's going to happen in season 2, make sure to listen to our roundtable interview with Michael Wilkinson and on season 1. It's down in the description below uh, in our previous stuff. So make sure to
Mhm.
look for it. Our good friend Chase Hauser had some really good, important questions for
Oh yeah,
for
I
for him
remember
on
that
that
conversation.
one.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that was good. But
That was good.
yeah, I mean, and it's not just Mon Mothma's gonna get some amazing costumes. And when we
Well,
saw that
Andor gets getting a massive upgrade already.
Andor's getting an upgrade, but I wanted to talk
Mhm.
about Krennic. He's gonna be rocking that cape again, but he's gonna have a formal
Right.
cape. It looks
Mhm.
like, I don't know if you saw like in one of
Yeah.
the special look they had like with the black trims and everything. I was like,
Yep.
oh, my boy Krennic, he's gonna you know dress to the nines on this one. So I'm looking forward to that diva talk to Mon
Yeah.
Mothma, like two
Oh,
divas just duking it out.
and definitely looking forward to K2SO. Like we already see a couple scenes where he's just like slap by off the bridge.
Yeah,
Amazing. Just I think as recent Star Wars has especially done so well with the
with
droids,
droids. Yep.
and then we get that amazing scene a little bit in the first look of like Andor in the ship with the voice actor for
Hmm.
K2SO and,
Alan Tudyk. Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
with Adam Trudick. And Wally was like, what's Alan Tudyk doing here? And I'm pretty sure
He's
he
like,
voiced K2SO
yeah.
already. He was super confused because, we're
He's not listening
also
to the
fans
podcast.
of.
Not listening to the podcast.
Hey, come on, we talk about a lot of things, and there's a lot of episodes.
That's
By the
true.
way,
That's true. Over 200 at this point. That's what
I
5 years
know,
gets you.
I know. So craziness.
I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about B2 emo, and everyone talks about K2SO. and they all talk about both of them in separate sentences.
Mhm.
But I need to put them in the same sentence because I
Okay.
think that that's going to be
There's gonna be a
a very interesting
fusion.
relationship. No, that's a theory I have, but I don't know like how much strength it has. But
Okay.
I do hope though that they interact, right? Because
Yeah.
Cassian's old childhood droid has to meet his adulthood droid partner, right? It's like when you like make a new
Yeah.
friend in
So
college, they have to meet your high school friends type of thing.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you're waiting for the odd couple version
Yes.
of them
Yes.
and maybe compare it to R2D2 C3PO and see how those two odd
A
couples.
little bit,
Yeah.
because I would think that B2 emo is gonna be a little jealous. He's gonna be like Cassian,
Yeah.
and because Cassian's gonna be
I'm your
like, "This is."
childhood friend. Like, what's
Exactly,
happening?
Cassian's gonna be like, "This is my
Yeah.
homeboy K2SO, and like we're
Mhm.
riding, Bad Boys for Life." And then B2 emo's
Yeah.
gonna be like, "Wait, what about me? Like I took care of
Yeah.
Marva while you were away."
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that because you know that B2 emo is close to my heart, but you know, uh,
Close to all of our hearts.
close to all of our hearts, rightfully so.
Mhm.
But before we close out this episode, there is one theory that we have to address as a
Mhm.
to be continued in many ways because this
Okay.
is this is a big one that a lot of the people on the internet have been discussing, like you and I have been discussing before we started recording, and it's something that wasn't shown in the trailer, but something that if you listen to our last episode about the delegation of 2000, is something that we kind of sprinkled that we are hoping to see, and
Mhm.
it's a character that is part of the Rebel Alliance that is almost too obvious to, that his lack of an appearance would be more jarring than if he
Mhm.
didn't appear at all. But Nani, who would you expect to see in Andor season 2 that hasn't either been announced or shown?
Well, if we're talking about the Rebel Alliance, we have to be talking about the great, the amazing Bail Organa,
Bail
played
Organa,
by the amazing Jimmy Smits.
Puerto Rican,
Um,
Puerto Rican Jimmy
yeah,
Spitz,
one of ours, one of ours.
one of ours, the original Space Puppy, the original Puerto Rican in Star Wars.
100%, 100%.
So, like, I don't want to delve too much into this
Yeah,
theory because we have a whole Bail Organa episode planned. We kind of
yeah.
did the
Mhm.
soft prequel to this episode when we were talking about the delegation of 2000,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
it only stands to reason that at this point in where Andor is going to be, that Bail Organa shows up in the show,
Yeah.
considering that he's a close ally of Mon
Mhm.
Mothma. We know that they're operating in the Senate, setting up the Rebel Alliance. So now that the powder keg is going to go off, and this
Mhm.
juggernaut of a show is kind of going full steam ahead towards, towards Rogue One and the original trilogy, that
Mhm.
Jimmy Smits has a role to play. I'm not saying that he's going to have a speech, but
Yeah.
he must be there. And like we're not gonna talk about it too much because we want to leave it as a to be continued so that everyone joins us in the next one. But what are your initial thoughts of Jimmy Smith perhaps returning as Bail
Yeah.
Organa?
So again, I don't want to say too much. We're going to leave this as a teaser so our viewers can leave comments about what they want to see Jimmy Smith come back as Bail Organa, what they think about Bail Organa as a character in general, what we've seen in all the other prequels, Bail in uh the animated series is
Mhm.
and also in the Obi-Wan show.
Correct.
So,
Yep.
and that's another thing. Like, if he was willing to come back as Bail Organa in the Obi-Wan show, there's nothing to limit my opinion that he'd say okay to coming back
Only money.
here.
Only money.
um, but considering the fact that at some point, I don't remember if it was in the trailer or the first look, that they talk about the fact that now we have the rebellion in all these different planets
That's Tony
and in
going.
all
Yeah.
these different systems. Like, how does that happen? You can't just have Mon Mothma and Lucian as like these leaders. Like,
Mhm.
there's an underground movement that goes way beyond them, and it's the only reason to explain that it's actually expanding as fast as it is to other systems. So I think a really good way to explain how it's spreading so fast is to add Bail Organa and the, you know, whatever, team he created as
Mhm.
he was gearing up to deciding that he wanted to rebel, because he was clearly one of the first ones that wanted to rebel. But we're going to get into Bail Organa and his character and everything that happens in a future episodes.
Mhm.
So look
So
forward to that.
stay tuned for that. But until then, I think this is a wrap uh,
Yeah.
on this transmission from. Oh my god, I forgot what the call sign was for Ahsoka and Rebels. Oh my god, Fulcrum. This Fulcrum
Mhm.
transmission for Andor season 2 until the next one when we talk about Bill Organa, and then the future one when we're finally covering the show in full in just a short couple of weeks, where the countdown has
Yeah.
begun.
I know. And what a great countdown to begin, isn't it? I mean, this is going to be a roller coaster ride, I feel, coming up soon. So we're going to leave you with that.
Yeah,
Until next time, we are Triad of the Force. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, join the Discord if
join
you
the
feel like
Discord.
it. Give us some questions, give us your answers, give us comments in general about how you're feeling about the upcoming season of Andor, how you felt about the first look and the trailer, or anything else Star Wars related, and or no pun. Oh my god, I kind of stole that from
You
Star Wars
did, you
Explained
did, you
because
did.
it was and I did not do that on purpose. I'm sorry, Alex and Molly. I did not do that on purpose. Or any other nerd related media that you would like to for us to talk about and that you would like to talk with us about. So
Mhm.
until next time, may the force be with you.